And welcome everybody. Another IC Live, day 3. It's Wednesday, January 17th. Welcome everybody. I just want to again say thank you to everybody who's been checking in, watching. It's been great. So for those who are just checking in, we are partaking in 75 lives. That's right. We're going to kick inconsistency in the teeth. We're going to do massive action. We're going to do a bunch of cool stuff. 75 lives. So you can meet us on all your favorite social media channels. We got the YouTubes, the Facebooks, all the stuff. You can meet us live, 12 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. My name is Billy Robbins. I am the founder of Intent Company. And we're talking business, we're talking life, we're talking family, faith, everything. We're just, we want to see entrepreneurs thrive in all aspects of their life. We want to see amazing businesses. We want to see families transform, communities transform. We really want to see everything that you have in your heart, the grand, glorious call, the designs that you have. We want to see them happen. We want to see them happen well. And, the first 2 days, we really spent most of our time talking about that dynamic of how business and family and all these things kind of mix together. Yesterday, we did a goal workshop. So if you haven't seen that, you can go back and check that out. Day 2, it was our goal workshop. And it's funny because, Intent Company is a marketing agency. We have a marketing software. We do services. We help companies grow. So maybe a little funny that we were talking more on the personal side, but I really do believe that our success in our businesses, and this applies to your employees, is most based off of the greatest thrust for success is going to happen how we are as individuals. When we're in a good place, things go well. When we're in a bad place, things go bad. If you're having performance issues with like your people, it's most of the time it's not like a skill issue. And so, we'll talk about those things in the future about, how do we lead, manage teams? How do we, how do we be a source of good for the people that we get a chance to lead? But that's why we kind of started off with that. But today, we're going to dive in a little bit on a presentation that I give fairly often. Sometimes I get called in to do kind of conferences and events, webinars, co-branded stuff. And I call the presentation, How to Double Your Revenue Without Spending a Dollar on Advertising. And this is one of our flagship presentations, focuses a lot on brands that already have businesses that already have a decent customer base, and how do you maximize that customer base. So we'll get into that in a second. I also just, for those that are even watching and kind of seeing like, okay, why are we doing, these lives and what's the impact of it? So go back to day 1, and that's really where we talk all about kind of all the dynamics of why we're doing these lives and creating the content, how we're going to use it. One of the things, again, we talked about was like breaking inconsistency, because I've wanted to create content on a regular basis for a very long time. And what tends to happen, get motivated, create 10, 20, 30 videos, get distracted, fall into something, because we haven't created the habit. So using this 75 days, let me scoot a little bit this way. There we go. Using these 75 days as a way to create the habit. If you're familiar with Andy Frisella and it's 75 Hard, he's got some science around how 75 days is really the right period of time to develop some habits. I think I even mentioned the one thing, Gary Keller, he talks about 66 days. So, it's habits aren't created in 2 or 3 weeks. We've got to press in. We got to really create momentum, consistency. And so in that first video, I talked a lot about why and how we're leveraging that the consistency of creating this content, how we're going to repurpose it. One of the things that I'm going to use this time for, it's like, hey, I'm here and people are showing up, people are watching. So there's the pressure of getting here. But one thing that I want to use this time for is to educate. And I can actually do this where I can really serve the people that are taking the time to watch. And I can use the content that I'm creating and repurpose it for other things. And so, we already have our video production team making reels out of stuff and posting those. But also, you could build a full-fledged online product, right? Some of you that are watching, maybe you want to add an online product, or you want to create a webinar or some trainings. So I'm going to use this time to do that. So like the thing we're going to go over in a minute, I'm recording it intentionally to use it for a completely different marketing funnel. I have a certain industry, some connections over there, and they want this content. So we're gonna package this up. It's great content. Take it, edit it, get it over there, and get to repurpose it in some different ways. So always be thinking about how can you leverage what you're doing, repurpose it in different ways. I'm going to do a whole series on this. We call it the macro to micro strategy. But it's basically we make a larger piece of content and then repurpose it in many different ways. And so this is kind of a little case study or an example. What we're about to do here in the presentation, what we're going to go through is a great example of that. So do me a favor, if you're watching, wherever you're watching from, let me get Braden, he'll tell you.
Hey guys, welcome back, and make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and make sure to hit that bell for notifications.
That's right. Got my boy there doing the promo work. So wherever you're watching from, like it, subscribe it, share it, do all the stuff, get the word out, help us out by creating some momentum. That's the other cool thing about 75 days is what could happen? What could happen over 75 days? We know this first week or two is going to be a little slow while the algorithms get used to things. People start joining, people start sharing. But man, what could happen with a consistent approach, a powerful, consistent approach over a relatively short period of time? What could we create? What could we do? What could we build? So we're going to kind of use this as a case study, and we're going to see what could we do. So back to our 75 lives, just kind of give you an update on what we're doing. We've got Monday through Friday, 12 p.m., all your favorite social channels, YouTube, everything. One of the big promos that we're doing over the course of the 75 days, I'll mention this pretty much every day, is we are taking our flagship product, our Focus and Fire workshop. It is how you develop a customer journey-driven marketing campaign. How do you it's got everything. Brand, create your brand positioning, create personas, create a customer journey map, client dossiers. It's the product that we have used, implemented with every client we've ever worked with from a services standpoint. As I've mentioned, this is something I've done many times to many brands you would recognize. And typically when we do this in person or like in a one-on-one kind of virtual workshop. We charge at least $5,000 for that product. But our online digital do-it-yourself version's $2,000. Never discounted it before we started doing these IC lives, and we are dramatically discounting it, 90% off. So for $200, you can get 5 hours of content. It's really, again, in the 19 years that I've been doing this, this is kind of the workshop that we've created to help kickstart all the different marketing systems, campaigns for all the brands we've worked with. But not only is it only $200, but Intent Company is taking all of that $200 and giving it directly to Feed the Hungry. Great organization. We actually did verify yesterday that Feed the Hungry gives 95% of every dollar that they collect that gives directly to meals. So it's like what an amazing organization, so well run, such a great percentage goes to actually helping people. And as I said on day one, I love the quote. Again, I got to find the guy who said it, but what you make happen for others, God makes happen for you. So let's do good, let's serve people, solve problems, and this is a great way to do it together. I think I did a quick tally. I think we're up to about 6,000 meals right now. But I think we could get to 1 million meals. Let's do it. So help us, get the workshop, get the word out, let everybody know what we're doing. And and also in the comments, there's a link to intentcompany.com/live. So this workshop, all the other tools that we're talking about, anything that we talk about on the live, we will put links. We're going to be interviewing people and getting a chance to hear from others, and when they have stuff they want to share or different links, we're just going to always put everything on intentcompany.com/live. Real easy way for you guys to get everything that you need. So, awesome. All right, well, that's the intro. Let's dig in. Let's learn some new marketing and sales tactics. Not tactics, strategies. Tactics never should come before strategy. This is a little preemptive. You heard me talk before about shiny new toy syndrome. I think the major reason why businesses flounder in their strategies and they change everything all the time and they start something and don't complete it and then start something else. Have you ever done that before? Have you ever got really fired up about this idea and, the TikTok thing and this is happening, we're going to do the thing, and you get all excited, you watched a video, and then you go through implement and maybe you launch it, you try it for a couple months, you stop, you start over. It's like these, again, inconsistent approach, and then, Amazon's doing that, or let's go over here, let's do that. And you just kind of feel like you're bouncing all over the place. We call that the shiny new toy syndrome. And the reason that you would be susceptible to the shiny new toy syndrome is because you don't have an overarching philosophy or strategy or the way that you view the world. And so everyone can influence you in that area. And that happens that happens often in marketing, because most companies, especially small businesses, you got into business because you got really good at doing something and you started realizing, why am I doing this for someone else? If I did it for myself, I'd make way more money. That is the overwhelming number one way that small businesses get started. You learn a skill, you do it for somebody else, you're like, I'm going to do this for myself. And so your skill and your gifting is really in what you do. You're good at putting a roof on, you're good at implementing phone systems, you're good at accounting, you're good at whatever your trade is. But when it comes to growing and marketing your business, that's an entire different skill set. Marketing is a completely different skill set. Sales is a different skill set. Scaling your business, leadership, the financials, cash flow, like all those things, those are all different things. And I'm kind of going into another topic that I will do in full one day. But to be really great at business, you need to be really great at business skills. You can actually have a super successful plumbing business and have no idea how to even change the little flapper thingy inside the toilet. As you can tell, that's one of my skills. Plumbing, the flipper flopper. My wife just rolled her eyes at me. I'm really handy. Kind of intimidates my wife a little bit. I am definitely not handy at all. Anyway, stick to your skills, right? So you can have a super successful plumbing business without knowing how to do anything. How do you do that? Well, you get really good at business skills, and then you hire people who are really good plumbers. You hire the best plumbers, and you figure out how to get customers, and you figure out how to get them to give you more customers, and you figure out how to manage cash flow and all the different stuff, and all of a sudden you have a super successful business. So we will talk about that more, because the business skills are what's paramount. And so if you think about it, I'm going to jump to one of the quotes that is in the presentation here, but Peter Drucker says, the purpose of a business is to get and keep a customer. So if not the number one, right up there, one of the most important skills that you can learn how to do is to get a customer and to keep a customer. And that's going to be a big part of what we're going to talk about in this presentation. So I'm about to, shift into presentation mode. So if I start talking, I'm kind of conversational right now and seeing the chats. So if I get into more like presentation mode, it's because, like I said, we're going to repurpose this time, this here, for me to record basically a pre-recorded webinar that I'm going to get to repurpose in many different ways. And so as we learn more about marketing, things like that, this strategy that I'm about to do right now is actually a really great way to create content. You may have wanted to in the past create a webinar. You're like, I don't even know how to do it, or where do I get the people, or anything. Like, go live. There's pressure on you to do something. Hit record. Make something awesome. All right, so let's dig in. All right, how to double your revenue without spending $1 on ad spend. So this is huge, and like I mentioned before, this presentation is, I think, the single most important thing that you can do if you already have customers. And I said single, but there's two. Because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to deliver two specific ways. They go hand in hand, but there's two things. These are the most important things that you could do to grow your business if you already have customers. And I mean this, like, it's not hyperbole. I'm not trying to exaggerate. I'm not, trying to get you all super excited. It's so obvious. It's so like, of course. You're going to ask yourself, why have I not been doing this? And the thing is, I've worked with many customers, very big, small, in between, and it's very rare that I find an organization that's actually committed to these two things. And through the course of this, implementing these systems has many, many, many benefits. Increase the lifetime value of the customer, improve the customer satisfaction, initiate referrals, reviews. Yeah, actually, lifetime value, it's funny, it's probably like the single most important metric that you can have in your business is lifetime value. Maybe not single most important, but it's way up there, right? What is the value, the average lifetime value of your customer? And that number is giving you the best metric to understanding how am I impacting my customers, or even like how am I not impacting my customers? What things am I missing? What other elements can I add to improve? Because lifetime value is a great signifier of how well you're doing. And if you think about lifetime value, you can look at lifetime value in a few different ways. Like, a lot of people say, okay, well, how much money did the customer spend over their lifetime? Or you can even look over like a 12-month period, right? What's the average revenue from my customer over a 12-month period? But another thing to think about with value is value's not always just purely in the order of the transaction. What if you have a customer that refers you a lot of business? They didn't actually buy more, but are they more valuable than the average customer? Absolutely, right? Referrals are amazing. And so if you got somebody who's really advocating on your behalf and getting more, that way more valuable. What if you got somebody who's always leaving reviews, always leaving comments, always connecting with your brand? Does that increase the value of that customer? Absolutely. So you got to quantify lifetime value in different ways. Improve customer satisfaction. This is huge. Again, another hard metric, because you're like, how satisfied are my customers? And we're going to talk about in this presentation a little bit, how can you quantify satisfaction? But again, another thing that everyone would say, yes, it's important that my customers are satisfied. But almost everyone would say, I don't know how to even measure if they're satisfied, and I have no idea how to affect that if I had it. So these are the things we're going to dive in on. So we're going to learn how to impact those things, all without having to buy more traffic, which is huge, because most of the time, when I'll sit down with a brand or a new business on a discovery call, and if they ask me a question kind of like, okay, what do I need to do to double my revenue? That's why I named this presentation that, because I get asked that question a lot. What do I got to do to double my revenue? And what they're basically asking is, how much money do I need to give Google and Facebook and advertising and buying in order to double my revenue? And I said, well, there's things you could do to double your revenue without even spending $1 more in advertising. And so that's obviously intriguing, and that's what we're going to talk about. You also don't need to start a blog. You don't have to become a social influencer. A lot of things that we think that we need to do to massively grow our business. Not saying that buying traffic, starting a blog, or being an influencer is bad, but if you've got a healthy client base right now, you're missing the main thing. You're missing the number one. You're totally overlooking the main thing that you should be doing to grow your revenue. Now, I haven't shared this. We've been doing this content for 3 days now, and I haven't really given too much like on who are you, what do you do, kind of thing. But it is important as you're taking advice, someone to kind of say, okay, are you somebody I can trust? And I've been running full service marketing strategies, every component of marketing strategies for some pretty awesome brands for a number of years. I think I'm coming into my 19th year actually right now of full service marketing. And I've got a chance to work with some really big brands, e-commerce brands, software brands. I've worked with small, mid-sized brands. And in my time of working with all of these brands, I've had a lot of experience. I've been able to manage hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars of ad spend and marketing budget. I've definitely influenced multiple billions of dollars of revenue online, again, in store. And all of that to say, it's given me a lens. I've been able to look at all these organizations, look at different industries, look at all the different strategies, and really kind of boil it down into this picture, this big picture. And so before I get into the exact thing I want to share with you about doubling the revenue, I think we have to first take a step back and look at this lens. Because this, again, is one of those strategies. Like what's your philosophy when it comes to marketing? To me, the lens or the philosophy, the way we got to look at it is the customer journey. It's hard because we all know that we should get an understanding of what our customer thinks, what their viewpoint is, how they're doing everything, but we tend not to. We're so absorbed in getting through the day, getting a customer, fixing the problem, paying payroll, like doing all the stuff that we don't take time to actually look at our customer, right? So if you look at your potential customers, if you look at the people that are going to transact business with you, there's really four stages that they go through. The first one is awareness. Do they know you? At some point, every customer that you had, at one point, they didn't know you, and then they knew you. They're now aware. And so that awareness is huge. And sometimes awareness is also, I didn't even know I had a problem. Because again, we talk about this, serving people, solving problems. And so the first step of any kind of marketing or the process that you have with your customers is that you bring them to a place where they know who you are. But knowing you is not enough. The next stage is affinity, which would be like, I like you. Okay, I know you, but hey, I actually like you. It's easier to do business with people that like you. Now, are there plenty of people that you buy from that you don't necessarily like? Yes, but they must be really good at solving your problem, and that's why you go to them. But it's much easier to do business with people that like you. The next step is action, right? So I know who you are, I like you, and then action, meaning I'm scheduling the demo call, I'm buying the product, I'm buying your service, right? That action. And what they're really saying in that stage is, I believe you. I know you, I like you, I believe you. And what do you mean believe? Well, I believe that you're able to solve my problem. Your landing page, your conversation you had with me, the outline you gave me, all of this stuff bubbles up where I'm like, you know what? I believe that when I give you this money, you're going to solve that problem. I believe you enough to buy. But buying once is one thing. Having a long-term, amazing customer is a different. That tells everybody knows about you, leaves a bunch of positive reviews, and that's advocacy. And that is the I trust you stage. I know you, I like you, I believe you, and then I trust you. And that is a much different world. I trust you is now you have gone through the process of actually delivering the goods. You've shown them that, yes, the promises that you made, you fulfilled. You've done exceeding it. So that's operations and the quality of your product. And even, as we're going to see here, there's marketing that we can do that continue the trust relationship and stay top of mind. So we call these brand advocates. People who are at advocacy stage are somebody who are completely sold out to your brand. They know you, they like you, they trust you, they bought from you, and they tell everybody they know about you. They leave positive reviews, they buy all your stuff, and they tell people. If you think about it, that is the pinnacle of all business. But typically we're just like, hey man, how can I just get somebody to give me some money? How can I just get somebody to buy my thing? But I need you to think further than that. Think about like, no, how can I not just get a customer? How can I get a raving fan? How can I get a brand advocate? What kind of marketing do I need to do? What kind of experience do I need to deliver? What kind of, it's amazing when you start to think in that way, but brand advocates are exponentially more valuable to your business than the average customer. A brand advocate is cool because they don't just they're not just people who buy, and they're not just people who buy again and again. They're actually people who tell other people, and when they do, it drives them deeper down the purchase decision. Now somebody else already knows and likes you. You get a referral, you already know, like, and trust that person. It makes it so much easier to continue to generate deals. And I'll tell you, most of the customers I work with, they'll even say, like, yeah, I get most of my business is from referrals. Now that's great. That's great. That means you're doing a good job. But we can use systems in a process to elicit more of those. And most companies today don't do anything to it just happens. But you have an opportunity, an intentional opportunity to expand your advocacy marketing. So if you think about it, at any given time, any business only has one main problem. They either don't have enough people who are aware they exist, they don't have enough of those people that actually like them, they don't have enough of those people that are actually taking their desired action, that are believing them to buy something, or they don't have enough people that are advocacy. And so as I mentioned this presentation, how to double your revenue. Well, how to double your revenue is for those that already have a decent customer base. And we've got more content on getting awareness and action and all those things, but I want to focus on the advocacy for this presentation. So the purpose of a business, as I said earlier, the purpose of a business is to create and keep a customer, by Peter Drucker. Very, very wise words. If you don't know Peter Drucker, he's like a management guru, kind of the last generation. He's gone now, but he's got some amazing content. All right, I want to really hammer this brand advocacy thing for you. So I believe that the goal of all marketing, I would say even the goal of all business, should be to develop and reproduce brand advocates. That's got to be your focus. A brand advocate is somebody so important because they buy based on value, not price. That is huge. If any of you, if you've been doing business for a while, you know that the customers that spend the most amount of money with you are the easiest to work with. And the people who spend the least amount of money are the hardest to work with. It's just the way it is. And that's because there's a difference between a brand advocate and a customer. Customers buying because of price or some kind of thing, but a brand advocate is someone who they believe in you, they're all in, they're buying, and price tends to not be the issue. It's the value you provide. Brand advocates stay your customer. They identify with your brand. We do that, right? You got your car guy, your hair gal, your what, you got your person that you're like, oh, this is my person. I identify with that, and you naturally tell everybody about it. And there's other brands like consumer goods. People don't buy an iPhone 1 year and then next year just get an Android and flip back and forth, right? Like you have your thing, your brand, you identify with it. When they come out with a new doohickey, you check it out immediately. We naturally do that. Brand advocates also, they tell your story, which means as a business, you must have a story and you must tell your story. You must share. And one of the reasons we're doing this presentation is a way for us to share our story. We are purpose-driven, customer journey focused, building brand advocate agency. Like those are the things we say over and over and over again because it's our story. It's what we believe, and we attract the right kind of customer by that belief, and then we kind of deter the wrong customer for us based on that narrative. And a brand advocate is easily the 20% of your customers that produce 80% of your revenue. And I would just say right now that a brand advocate is easily worth 30, 60, or 100 times more than your average customer. So I hope you see the value of brand advocacy. So another way to look at it is through this lens of a funnel. We all, see marketing, sales funnels. So if you think about it, there's more people that are aware that you exist than like you, then have bought from you and have become advocates. So the goal is, how do we continue to bring people down to the advocacy? As I mentioned a second ago, I know you, I like you, I believe you, I trust you. Now, there's certain kinds of marketing that works best at each, right? If you're trying to get awareness, you're probably focusing a lot on like local search, social media, you can maybe buy in some traffic, things like that. Affinity is really around like educational, value-driven content marketing. And then for action, right, to get people to buy, you need things like social proof. You need persuasive messaging, sales automations, pipelines, offers, things like that. Advocacy. Okay, well, how do we automate upsells? How do we ask for reviews and referrals at the exact right time? How do we have processes to ensure high customer satisfaction? Well, that's what we're going to talk about, is this advocacy stage. But the coolest part about it is this advocacy stage, this group of people are what actually are helping you fill the awareness side. So by focusing here, you're actually benefiting all 4 stages of the customer journey. So this needs to be our focus. Our number one focus should be developing a high-performing advocacy system that turns our customers into raving fans. Number one strategy for any business that already has a decent customer base. All right, advocacy. Let's dive in. So, the most important growth strategy. Let's take a look. Advocacy-focused marketing. Let me give you some real practical ways that you can do this. We have one of our flagship products, or our flagship product. I guess you don't have many flagship products, but our flagship product is called the Automated Advocacy Machine. And it's an automated system that leads people through these 8 major puzzle pieces of advocacy marketing. Now, I'm going to give you some general kind of view of each of these, but you've got to apply this to your specific business. There's going to be certain things that are more relevant to you. There's going to be things that, you got to be thinking about. You'll create processes. You'll create things you never even thought of going through this and looking at these specific puzzle pieces. But there's power in the unity. When you have these things all collectively together operating, it creates a really powerful response in your business. But because it's an automated advocacy machine, and I won't get into a lot of those pieces on like how we build it, but it actually can take pressure off of your organization. Because you're probably doing some of this stuff, but oftentimes it's like, oh, well, I got this person who's responsible for that and call, and it's all human driven and dependent on particular people. And if you have a decent sized organization, you know systems are what scale, people don't. And if you've got this rock star who's got everything upstairs and then she goes to a new company, that can dramatically affect your business. So another nice part of this is that you're extracting a lot of the good things you're already doing, systemizing it, and creating a more reliable result. And again, all this is going to lead to people buying more of your products, buying more frequently, telling more people to buy your products, leaving more positive reviews, all in a completely automated way. All right. So if you think about it, with everything we did, we go back to that customer journey, right? I believe you is an action step. I trust you is what builds advocacy. And if you think about it, the more I trust you, the higher the likelihood I am to be an advocate. The less I trust you, the least likely. So everything that we're doing, everything we're talking about is almost on this trust continuum, right? And I think a great way to talk about or measuring relationships, which isn't necessarily a very measurable thing, but it's almost like the analogy of a relationship's like a bank account. And in that relationship, there's certain things that you do that you drop deposits into that relationship. You add to the bank account, the relational account. And then there's certain things that you do withdrawals. So in like any bank account, you can either have a surplus or you can have a deficit. And in your relationships with your customers right now, that's the case. Certain customers, you have such an abundance that, you know what, you could mess up a couple times and it wouldn't affect your relationship because there's so much in that account. Then there's others that you're in debt. You're in relational debt with that person. You have taken too many withdrawals and there wasn't enough in the account. So you're in the red. And even like what we're talking about right now, some of this stuff is like how you initially start a customer, right? Like we're about the onboarding. We're going to start with onboarding. You could go through the whole process of doing great marketing, getting somebody aware, getting somebody to know, like, and trust you, getting them or to buy from you, to believe you, and you get them going. And now it's your onboarding process. You're starting the initial process of engaging this customer in the relationship. Even in that window of getting them going, if you don't do this well, you can actually have a brand new customer that just trusted you enough to pull out their wallet and spend whatever money with you. And by the time you've actually implemented their product, they already don't like you. They already don't trust you. They're already like, So this onboarding process is extremely important. And the thing with onboarding, now, again, different types of businesses. I'm speaking specifically to service businesses because those are the businesses that I focus on the most. Services businesses have an onboarding process. And if you do the onboarding process well, you can be making deposits right away into this account, creating a relational bank account, creating connections. You do it poorly, and you can, again, start off from a deficit right when you got going, okay? So what I ask the question is with onboarding, how can you streamline your onboarding for improved satisfaction? How can you streamline it? How can you automate it? How can you create checks and balances and make sure that everything is getting done in a timely manner? Well, I like to think of the onboarding process as kind of these blocks, right? And a block is composed of a team. So someone, something at some time. Someone has to do something at a specific time that moves the ball down the road to onboard, right? And so like with our stuff, we have a system, a marketing software that actually automates all of this. So when somebody gets an onboarding, it automatically assigns it to a certain person, automatically gives them the 2 or 3 tasks they have to do, automatically sets the date that it's due with reminders and all these other things. So when someone goes through and they check the box, great, done, moves on to the next person. And so it's all measured. And that's super important. Measurability creates accountability. And so if you can't track when people are doing what thing, it also makes it so that it's nice that it's not just that one person in your organization that knows how to do this. You systemize the onboarding process, and now you create scalability. You can get other people on there. And typically an onboarding process, you're going to have like 3 or 4 different groups, and this ball has to go down the field. And so automating it and being very clear. Who has to do it? What do they have to do? When is it due? And when it's due, where does it go? Next step, next step, next step. And so think about that in your onboarding process. Think about that in the way that you get customers going. How can you do that quickly? How can you do it effectively? How can you create wins? I sometimes have a screenshot of a particular client we work with that creates a video-based onboarding process too. So not only does someone get it, but there's like a video that then goes to the customer showing them being like, hey, we're at this stage. This is what we're working on. This is what we're doing. This is when our next call is. And it just creates a lot of ease and peace and starts off the process really well with getting a client going. Number 2, value add resources. This is a big one that like no one does. Value add resources. What content could we provide that would extract the maximum value of our products and services? So let me give this an example from a tech perspective because I think this makes most sense. So I got my phone. Got the new iPhone 15 Pro Max, whatever. That was an expensive phone. If this phone, I decided to say, oh, look at this new phone I got. And it is a really great coaster. And I decided that as I'm sitting here, I'm going to pretty much use this as a coaster. Whatever that phone was, $1,000+ whatever it cost. That is a terrible use. It is a very low value. I spent way too much. I'm not extracting any value out of it. Why? Because I'm not using it based on the intent that it was used or that it was made for. If instead I use this phone, but all I know how to do is make a phone call or a text message, I'm not really extracting much value out of it either. So even though this phone contains tons of amazing features and abilities and good things, the value that I perceive out of it is dependent on my ability to extract the value out. So what if when I bought this phone, I started getting emails from Apple every day that then showed me videos on how to do this new feature and, oh yeah, it's this new OS, so you can do this and you can do that, and trained me and taught me how to extract more value out of it. It's the same phone. I spent the same amount of money on it, but the value that I perceived and then the satisfaction that I have from the purchase I made is dependent on my ability to extract that value out of this. So as a company, Don't just expect that your customer knows how to log in your software, that your customer knows how to use the tool, that knows how to get the thing, that knows. Expect that they don't. And spoon feed them the information, the video, the content, the link, the whatever they need so that they extract value and immediate value. And I would say, as kind of a pro tip here, what would be the one most important thing that if they truly got this down and they knew how to use this and get this out of this feature, that if they had that, they would actually extract the most amount of value out of your product or service? And make sure that you make that super clear and you just feed that to them. One thing, a way to kind of identify what to do is your customer support. What are the questions that you get asked the most? Oh, how do I log in here? Or how do I do this? Or how do I do that? Those questions are saying people don't understand how to use that piece. So what if before they even asked, you were emailing them videos, showing them step-by-step how to do that, answering the question before it ever arose? You would be giving them more value. They'd be more satisfied. You'd even put less pressure on your customer support team. And that's real value. So think about those ways. What could you do? What content could you create to help your customers extract more value out of their products and services? Number 3, community. How can you create a family-like community? Maybe that's a exaggerated term, family-like, but seriously, brands, companies want to be, they want to feel like it. Actually, hopefully one of the people I'm going to interview, and maybe he's watching, but my chiropractor, Dr. David Herb Family Wellness, Southlake, Texas. He's an amazing chiropractor, but I'm going to tell you right now, he's an amazing businessman. And one thing that his organization does, I get so inspired every time I go in there, is the community that they create. And that is not, you don't create community by accident. There is a standard for how every employee there connects with people. They're consistent about creating groups and meetings. They got virtual, online social platforms, things like this. They're intentionally bringing people together. They're eating meals. They're having workshops. They're doing things. They're extremely intentional about creating community. And there's sometimes where not even necessarily I feel bad I need to go to the chiropractor. I'm kind of miss the people. I miss the experience. And so it creates a pull to get in there and to be a part of that. It is very, very, very easy for me to recommend that organization to everyone and anyone I meet. Very easy. I trust them. And a big part of that is because I trust the way that they treat people. And that's a big thing. You got to create the community. You could be, again, great at what you do. You could be the elite, great, excellent at the doing of your stuff. You could be a home service business you're the best roofer, you're the best plumber, you're the best whatever. But if people are freaked out by you, if they don't like talking to you because you got a temper and nobody ever returned, they leave a voicemail and you never return their call, and there's all of that stuff mixes up together to be I can't recommend you to someone else. And that's the key. How do you create a business where people want to advocate on your behalf? And so creating a community is huge. And so, you got all the social channels. Kind of like what we're doing right now. All of this stuff. Let's get people together. Let's get people connecting. Let's get people sharing. So use the digital resources, create community. We have a built-in community platform in our software where you can create these kind of groups as well. But just use Facebook, use LinkedIn, just use something. But also, if you are a local-based business, how could you use local initiatives? How could you have local workshops? How could you do maybe a fundraiser, team up with the fire station with, a Toys for Tots type thing or something, but bring community together and do it on a consistent basis. That goes, it's, you can easily say well, that's just, waste of money and this. It's no, you're thinking too small. You're not realizing the power of community, the power of advocacy. And creating an amazing community is one of the best ways to have people stick with you longer, buy more of your stuff, tell more people about you. Reviews. So this is huge in the customer satisfaction realm. And very, very few companies use this strategy. And I would say even the ones that do use this strategy, I think they're missing a part of this. So I put NPS, which stands for Net Promoter Score. Net Promoter Score is a specific survey. It was created by Bain and Company, I believe, about 20, 30 years ago. And you may not have heard of Net Promoter Score as the phrase, but I'm pretty certain you've heard of a website or an email that said, on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend your business or friend, refer our business to a friend or colleague? That is an extremely common thing to see. And what you're basically doing is you're taking the temperature of your client on how their experience has been and the likelihood that they would feel comfortable recommending you. So this is super important. So I mentioned earlier, like, how do you measure customer satisfaction? This is the main way that brands do it. I will say that the way that they do it, I think, is a little flawed. Most companies, especially big companies, over the course of a year or a quarter or what have you, they'll take these 0 to 10 scale questions. And then at the end of 3 months, 6 months, a year, they're like, hey, we're a 9.3 customer satisfaction rating. And they get to share that, and they share it with stakeholders or their board or their whatever. And great. But what do you do about it? How do you impact it? What's the change? It's so non-actionable. It's an accounting number. It's a snapshot, a number of what did happen, and doesn't give us a lot of power to do anything about it. So there's a couple things, and this is, I'll tell you right now, this thing I'm about to tell you is worth all the time you're spending watching this. Implement this and watch what happens. Do your 0 to 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely you recommend us. But after they fill out that number, ask a couple follow-up questions, some 0 to 5s, and say things like, hey, how friendly was the person who answered the phone? How was your sales experience? How easy is the software to use? How satisfied were you with the work we did? Think about the main buckets, the main 3 to 5 buckets of your experience with that person, and ask a follow-up question. Because here's what's going to happen. You may find, oh my goodness, we're getting like a 7 on a 0 to 10. Why? Why is 7? Well, if you don't ask those follow-up questions, you don't know. But all of a sudden, if you do 7, and then you look at your follow-up questions and you're like, oh my gosh, our sales experience is a 2. Maybe you got really pushy sales staff, or maybe you get somebody who's they're good at getting sales, but they're maybe not very friendly, or they're, whatever the case may be. This could be in any bucket. But what you realize right away when you look at the data is, like, I'm getting 5s in every other category except for sales. And now you have a specific area of your business that you can make an improvement on to see that number go up. So now you've taken something that's like really arbitrary, like, 9 rating, and now you know a specific thing that you can do to impact that downline. The second piece of how to really manage these NPS reviews in a powerful way. If someone, let's say this, I say the best time to launch these is 2 places. One, right after the sales experience, and after any customer support, like major customer support experiences. Anytime those moments happen, automatically send an email, automatically send a text message off to your customer with this review. If someone in that moment, like, let's just say they just bought a new product, they got onboarded, something happened, and then you send this email over and they put 10 out of 10, I'd recommend you. What should you do? Well, I'll tell you what almost every customer I've ever worked with and seen doesn't do, and you should do. Why don't you ask them for a referral immediately? Like, they just told you 10 out of 10 that they would recommend you. Why not follow when they click 10 and hit next? Why not follow it up with an email being, wow, thank you so much. We appreciate your support. Who are the 2 or 3 people that you think would benefit from our services? And have them reply back to the email. If you're doing big ticket sales, have the sales rep call up and say, wow, I just saw a 10 out of 10. We're so excited. Thank you. Hey, who do you know that we could help? Ask for the referral, or ask for a review. If they just said 10 out of 10, they love you, what's a better time to have them leave like a Google review or wherever? That's the ideal moment. They just told you, they raised their hand and said, I would do this 10 out of 10. Then boom, give them an opportunity to do it. Those 2 things, if you implement those 2 things, and you learn, which I'm going to share with you in a second, it's unbelievable how fast you could grow by taking that client satisfaction temperature. And it's something that's very, very, very overlooked by brands today. All right, life cycle. When most people think post-purchase, the one thing that they may have is upsells, right? You bought this, you may buy that. You bought the computer, you need the headphones. You bought the phone system, you need the security system. You bought, right? And that's good. We want to do that, right? So, but I want to say this is, how can we introduce products and services without seeming salesy? Now, there's nothing wrong with salesy, okay? So like I have a sales team. But there's a way that you could be emailing your customers on a regular basis where they don't get bothered or feel like, oh, every time I get an email from you, you're just trying to sell me something. And what we call it is the 80-20 PAS. 80-20, problem, agitate, solve. So this is a content strategy where instead of just saying like, hey, and not saying don't do these, it's okay once in a while, but hey, you bought the computer, here are the headphones, I would go great with it, or the whatever. Okay, great, do that. But what if ongoing, again, I think, using kind of like the service-based thing, right? You sell telephony, somebody bought a phone system, and now you want to sell, cybersecurity or this other thing on top of it. Rather than just always throwing out, being like, get cybersecurity, why don't you tell a story? Problem, agitate, solve. This is a story, a content development thing. So what you basically do, showcase a problem, tell them a problem, like cybersecurity is on the rise, these things are happening. Agitate, which means you kind of got to push the button a little bit, right? Like, hey, could you imagine if in your business all this data happened or that loss or this thing, and you tell it in a narrative, in a story that kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't have that. But you don't leave them in a state of pain, you solve it. You say, well, this is exactly the problem we solve. And it's really easy because you sign up for this, you click on the link, you do this, you do that, and all of a sudden your problem's gone and we do it all for you. So 80% of the content needs to be that, problem, agitate, solve. The 20% needs to be the call to action. And that's just basically what you say, if this is something that's relevant for you, if that's a problem that you're concerned about solving, click on this link, schedule a time to talk with one of our consultants, and they'll show you how to fix this problem. If you send messages, blog posts, emails, text messages, any of your content, any of your narrative, anything that you're doing, if you create it in that way, you'll never wear out your list. And that's the most important thing. You want people to like opening your content. You want people to like opening your emails, to looking at your social posts, getting the text message. If you're doing it in this fashion, you're basically educating and serving them with information. And then the right people, the ones that raise their hand. And when they click on the link and do the thing, now you start to push in some of the salesmanship and follow-up systems and get on the phone and maybe make some dials. But it's nice because you have this massive list of your customers and you throw something out there, their behavior, their clicks, their activity, those kind of things dictate who to go after on a more sales-centric approach. And so you never wear out your list, you never wear out your people, and you're constantly getting opportunities to sell new products and services. Next, advocate. How can we invite our community to tell others about us in a fun and easy manner? So this kind of goes hand in hand with what I just shared. So I use this example. I'm sure many of you have bought a gym membership before. You go to the gym, do the tour, sign up for a gym membership. When you sign up for a gym membership, what do they almost always give you after you signed up? Yeah, maybe a sports bottle or something, but what they tend to give you are free passes. They'll give you 3 or 4 free passes to hand out to your friends. Why? Because you're excited, you started going to the gym, you get some free passes, hey, come with me, let's go, and then what does that do? Yeah, they come in, they leave their name, number, and then they start getting sold to join the gym. You know what they don't give you? They don't give you contracts. They don't give you pre-filled sales contracts for your memberships to gyms. Say, hey, pass out these contracts to your friends. Why? Because you never would. You would never share if that's what they gave you. But instead, they give you something that of value, something that's fun, and you hand it out easily, and then it pulls those people in. So they're initiating advocacy. They're initiating up the you referring new business in a way where you don't even realize that you're referring business. So a way to do that, especially like using online, is to educate. So again, you think about that problem, agitate, solve. If you are the authority, if you are the thought leader, like you're the one in your space where you're like, you know what, I know my stuff. I serve people. I solve problems. And I make messages and content in a way that really helps people. Like this presentation. Like, yes, are there ways and after this that I'm going to be like, hey, let's talk on the phone. Maybe we can help, get you this system, sell you this thing. Yeah, of course. But, you watch this whole presentation and you do this stuff, it's going to transform your business. So I'm trying to showcase that we're the authority, the thought leader in advocacy marketing, serve you with really great content. And I hope you get blessed by the content. I hope you share it with other people. And guess what? The right people who watch this will schedule a time to talk with us. And everybody else, all they did was get blessed. What a great way to do things. So that's one of the best things you could do, is be creating valuable content that you're really serving people, solving problems. And if you do share that on your social or emails or various places, your customers, the people who already like you and know you, trust you, guess what? They're going to naturally share that because it's easy to share that kind of content. People tend to be around like-minded people. So if you're serving this one person, they'll be like, yeah, you know what? I got to share this. This is a great message. I didn't realize that about cybersecurity. I didn't know that thing happened. So boom, they share it off to their friends who also have businesses. And then boom, you get the 20% call to action, and you get inbound leads coming from places you didn't even realize. So you're equipping people who would advocate for you, brand advocates. You're giving them a tool that they can easily advocate for you. They can share. All right. Affiliate. So there's certain people in your community, in your group, and they could be customers, they could be partners, they could be certain people, but there's certain people that you have a level of relationship with that it makes sense to engage in some sort of affiliate relationship. What this is basically, this is paid referrals. So if what I just said a second ago is basically a really great way to initiate advocacy in a more natural, organic way, this is a way to pay for it. So there is a portion of your community that would engage in this. And so like this is a screenshot from our software where you can literally upload offers. And then when you have these particular partners, they sign up in there and they get their own special link. And that link, when they share it with anyone for whatever reason, if somebody clicks on it, it tracks and says, oh yeah, it was Tom that sent that referral. So if they buy, you give them a commission or maybe a discount on their products or free stuff, whatever you want to do. But it's very much like what we just shared, but it's done paid. The cool thing too, like with our system, all that content that I just mentioned that's really cool and natural to share, you can actually upload that content into the system. And so Tom, our pretend affiliate here, can actually just go grab the media, the good, valuable content, share it to his network, throw it on his email, share it when he's at the next mixer or whatever. And when they are like, oh, that's great, I like that, and they click on the link, boom, Tom will get the commission, you get another sale, and it's just another way to leverage those relationships. I've used this tool as well for commission-only sales in the past. So if you do have a product where you can use commission-only sales, it's just this nice, simple way to track how everything's happening. It's very clear. Here's the people that were leads, here's the closes, here's the revenue, here's your commission, all organized in a really nice, easy way. All right, lastly, VIPs. What can you do to bless those who are your best customers? Not every customer is created equal. It's what we all started this off with, right? Like 80% of your revenue is coming from 20% of your customers. If you treat your best customers differently, that is going to have a spillover effect. And so, like, I even just say this, like, if you get somebody starts sending you referrals, they bought your biggest package, they're totally, they're advocating for you. They're going out of their way. Go bless them. Go do a search. What's the best steakhouse, next to their address? Go get a gift card. Do something. Surprise them. Send them a box. Send them some swag, a t-shirt, a hat, something unique. I've had some brands I worked with in the past where they did a lot of swag. Actually, one of them was an apparel brand. That's literally what they did, was make like apparel. And they would make basically like VIP only gear. So like they I think it was based on like either social engagement or revenue. I forgot exactly how we did it. But based on them, they're an advocate. That's who they are. They got swag. They got gear for the brand they already wanted to buy clothes for anyway that you could not buy in a store. It was like VIP only gear. So it's kind of like this special, unique club. Do you think if somebody got that in the mail, do you think they're going to share that on social? Do you think they're going to tell everybody they know about it? I mean, of course they are. Of course they are. And it's just a really good way to take care of your best people. So what could you do? I bet you could look it up right now. Like who are your top 5, 10, 20 customers? What could you do right now to bless them in a unique way? You should be thinking about that. And then you should build that in a system, in a strategy, in a process. All right. So that was the automated advocacy machine. The eight puzzle pieces. It's great advocacy marketing. Now, I want to give you a bonus. I said there was 2 strategies you could do. So this is a little bonus. So let me go back. We talked about lifetime value. How do you double your revenue without spending $1 on advertising? If you know the lifetime value of your customer, and if you implemented a system I just showed you, and you doubled the lifetime value of your customer by doing everything I just showed you there, you would double your revenue, and you would not have spent $1 more on advertising costs. You wouldn't have had to give Google and Facebook any money. So when you focus on the lifetime value, what about referrals? What if you doubled the amount of referrals that you were getting? Right? All of those numbers, put that in, put that in a spreadsheet. Think about that. Look at those figures. Actually, we're working on right now an advocacy calculator. So that'll be coming out pretty soon. We'll share that with everybody. But if you double the lifetime value of your customer, you'll double your revenue without any front-end marketing. And then you think about it. Then when you start buying advertising and getting new customers, they get pulled through that same system. So you're maximizing the revenue that you get from the customer. So begin with the end in mind. Begin with advocacy and then build it backwards. And if you've got customer base right now, that's the place to start. Okay, number 2, conversion optimization. I'm going to say another thing. If you know the conversion rate, like what is the average conversion rate of your customer right now? If you doubled your conversion rate, you double your revenue as well. And this is another thing that most I'm telling you, I remember one particular brand, I won't call them out, but $5.5 billion a year business, 1,200 stores, huge business. They had 0 metrics on their conversion optimization for any of their web properties. How do you do that? Because if you just had base level, okay, I know X amount of people come here, they put their email here, that turns to a call, that turns to a this. Like get your 4 or 5 numbers. I know my conversion rate at the main pieces of my business. The first thing you got to do is understand your current location. I am currently here. This is my current destination. If you heard me on the goal workshop yesterday, I talked about this a ton. This is my current location. I'm here and I want to get there. My desired destination. My current location, my desired destination. And then we apply SAM. And this is the acronym that we use all the time for our testing. First, my current location, I want to have a strategy. So for instance, let's say I'm here with my revenue. You know what? I think if I implemented an advocacy machine, I think that would help get to my desired destination. Okay, well, that's the strategy. Then you got to implement. You got to act. Don't just come up with a strategy, act and implement. And then off of that action, you get data. You know what? I did this and that happened. I like this part of it, don't like that part of it. Well, then let that affect your strategy, right? Let the data improve your strategy. Let that strategy implement, measure, and you basically create this flywheel effect where you're in a consistent mode of improvement. If you think about it, if you have no idea what you're doing right now, but you did this, you came up with a strategy. I'm going to do customer journey marketing. I'm going to make content. I'm going to do this. You implement, you measure, you learn, and you improve, and you never stop. You have to be successful at some point. What makes you not successful is not having a strategy, being haphazardly all over the place and trying new things, not implementing because of fear, and then not measuring your data. And to be honest, most businesses are actually kind of run that way. They literally, you're just getting by. You're just doing what you do. Some people come, some people buy, some people don't. You don't have a strategy. You're not implementing. You don't have a data set. Like, just hopefully some of the information I'm giving you right now is getting you further down the road. But even my strategies, the things I'm telling you to do, measure it. Measure it. What's the result? The results dictate what to do next. Let the data drive your decisions. So if you think about this in awareness, affinity, action, and advocacy, each of those points, you have a certain percentage at each of these points. What could you test and what could you do at each of those points to see improvement? And I'll include this. I'll include a link to this thing here, but this is our A/B testing significance calculator. So with anything you do, the easiest way to test, the simplest, easy way to test, and if you do this consistently and never have a problem, it's just A/B testing, right? So 50% come here. Think of this even from an awareness standpoint, right? Like we have an outbound sales team. I have 2 scripts. 50% of my calls, I say this script, 50% does this script. Measure, how many appointments did I get? And over time, when you get enough data, you're going to realize, wow, script B beats script A. Great. Script B now becomes what they call the control. But don't just stop there. Don't be satisfied with one gain. Now say, how could I make another script to see if I could beat script B? And now you test the variant against your control. You might test 2 or 3 and they just don't win. It's like B just keeps winning. And then all of a sudden, oh, this works. Great. That becomes the control. And you literally climb the ladder. You can do this in every aspect, your follow-up emails, your landing pages, the offers that you have, your pricing of your products, the packages that you sell, your advocacy sequence. Every single stage of the process, you can create an A/B test. And if you do that on the main aspects, I'm telling you, you're going to grow. Again, what would happen if you doubled the percentage of people that set an appointment with you? What would happen if you doubled the conversion rate of the people that set the appointment with you? You doubled and then doubled and then doubled. I mean, but it's basic. And again, you might be like, yeah, I should, maximize relationship with my customers. Yeah, I know I should do advocacy. Yeah, I know I should split test. Yeah, I know I should do conversion. But are you doing it? Do you have an intentional pursuit to doing it? Most businesses do not. And these 2 places, split testing and advocacy-driven marketing, are far and away the single most important thing you can be doing from a marketing and sales perspective if you already have customers. So I hope I sold you. I hope I sold you on this concept. I hope I sold you on advocacy marketing. And so if I did, I got 2 options for you here. Now, you may have more time on your hands than you have money. If that's the case, go over to our website, intentcompany.com, and under resources, there's a link to the WOW Blueprint. This is a completely free product where we go into even more depth and detail in how we build these advocacy machines. It's completely free. Go check it out. I will also make sure that we have some conversion optimization templates as well implemented for this presentation. So you'll get our A/B testing calculator and all those things. Also, in that free tool set, we have some AI tools. And so in here, we actually have a builder that will help you develop your NPS survey, your avatars, your problem, agitate, solve framework. So a lot of the things that we talked about in the presentation, free tools, put in the data, it'll spit out everything that you need, all completely free. Great things to get your hands on those things. If you have more money than time, you're like, you know what, Billy, I completely believe in this advocacy marketing stuff. We're super busy, we're doing well, but we need help. Well, just go to intentcompany.com, click on consulting. You will get a link to my calendar, set up a time to talk, hop on the call, we'll chat about your situation, see if we're a good fit. So, and that we'll be talking about our advocacy machine. So just to give you an idea of what we do, this is like a 99-1. We got 99% value, 1% pitch. Here's my pitch. So yeah, we build what we call the automated advocacy machine, and we give everything in one place. We build the strategy, we have the software, we build the systems, we implement it with services, and we have support, 24/7 support, customer success managers, literally 360 support for you creating these advocacy machines. So if this is something that you want to learn more about, let's hop on a call. And I'll tell you right now what our discovery calls are. It's like 15 minutes. I want to know more about who you are. I want to know the problems that you have. I want to see if we're going to be a good fit, because I don't want to just get a customer that's going to be disappointed. I'm going to have bad customers. No, I want advocates. So we're going to find out, okay, are you the right customer to work with that we know will have long-term success that we could build a long-term relationship with. So thank you. So that's it. That is the how to double your revenue presentation. And so, no matter where you're at in your business endeavors, I hope you found this valuable. Thanks for sticking with me. I know we went about 15 minutes over time. And so get on the site, go to IC Live, intentcompany.com/live. And we got a link to the WOW campaign blueprint in there as well. So hope you guys found this valuable. And we will see you tomorrow. Thanks again so much for watching. Come on, put some comments in there. Let us know what you want to learn about. Share this, even the replays. Get it out there. Get the word out. So, again, we appreciate you so much. Thanks for your